No be small thing, no. Nigeria CBN governor Godwin Emefiele, my people, wonder shall never end. As me on the talk now, the whole social media is on fire. We do on our own. No. INEC President-elect Bishop Bola Ahmed Tinubu is suspended after I don't suspend and DSS go arrest on the way from Lagos. Then they board and they go Abuja. My people, I come across this video. I believe so. I still remember when Godwin Emefiele, they use Nigerians, they play, because they use us, they play for inside the countryside. As he say, now be the owner of Nigeria. Who get money for bank, not go feel withdraw. Who then transfer money, get not go feel withdraw. Everybody can't be hungry, everybody can't days as it's stranded. My people, hey. When I know what to pay me for inside this video, they can't put this man for private jets. Now the video now they see for my screen. So when DSS they pick up, then they carry and they go Abuja. Somebody when they go put for back of pickup or inside boot, so that it go suffer the way prisoners then they suffer. They carry and they come put on for private jet for waiting now. I come across this video para. Meanwhile, before I go along and watch this full video, I see many allegations where be like say man. Well, it's in a civilized country, 15 years time, this man never come out for his kiri. You understand? And if not true, say INEC President-elect, because me I never they call Baba Tinubu my president to up till now. For me, it be like say man, Nigeria never get president. You understand? This one where they do not drama. My old president is on his way. Mr. Peter Obi now be my president. You understand? If Tinubu really say one fight corruption, make if I go arrest Minister of Petroleum, INEC chairman, and Minister of Aviation. Una understand? This one will make una just the play. Well, my people, make una watch this full video, and I beg make una not fail to help me share this video. Also drop una comment for the comment section.
We are continuing our coverage of suspension of Godwin Emefiele by President Bola Tinubu. In a statement by the Director Information, Willie Bassi, on behalf of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, is equal to the ongoing investigations of his office and the planned reforms in the financial sector of the economy. Lara Fonlayo now takes a look at the activities of the governor while in office.
Godwin Emefiele was appointed Central Bank Governor by the Jonathan administration in 2014. The Buhari administration retained him after it came into power a year later. He was governor when the country saw its worst recession ever. As CBN governor, Mr. Emefiele introduced various interventions to ensure that the naira was kept stable. During his first term, he survived several calls for his removal, particularly during the free fall of the naira against the greenback to an all-time high. Amid calls for the CBN to devalue and float the naira, the governor instead introduced capital control mechanisms to stem the naira's fall. An investors and exporters window was introduced to allow the naira's pricing be at a market rate. This was alongside directing banks to sell forex to customers over the counter for basic travel allowance, medical and education payments. The bank also began cash injections into the foreign exchange market in defense of the naira. The former governor also brought about the consummation of the bilateral currency swap agreement with the People's Bank of China, and these saw the Apex Bank's additional intervention in the foreign exchange market through the sale of foreign exchange in the Chinese yuan. The central bank also had massive interventions in agriculture through the Anko Boras program, which is believed to have helped improve the country's rice production capacity. The suspended CBN governor maintained a tight monetary policy stance during his first term in office, and at one point he held the monetary policy rate at 14% for over 2 years. The former central bank governor was the first to get a term renewal since the country's return to democratic rule in 1999. His predecessors, Joseph Sanusi, Chukwuma Soludo, and Lamido Sanusi, were not so lucky.
For products and services to be built with the aim of enhancing.
On resumption for his second time, the suspended CBN governor launched a roadmap that was majorly centered around job and wealth creation. His second term witnessed the emergence of COVID-19, which came with one of the toughest economic times in the country's history. The bank, under its leadership, came up with policy initiatives for households and businesses to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. There are also financial interventions in healthcare and education, amongst others. The naira continued to see its free fall against the dollar, with the former governor working to address the situation. One of the policies they also initiated was the forex repatriation scheme known as the RT200.
Unfortunately, I don't have good news for those who feel that we should shift the deadline.
One of his major policy initiatives before the suspension was the Naira redesign policy aimed at getting excess money in circulation into the bank's vaults, stop counterfeiting as well as payment of cash for ransom in kidnap cases, and also drive electronic banking. Inflation rose to a 22.2% high in April this year, and the Monetary Policy Committee under the governor's leadership maintained a tight monetary policy stance by pushing up key lending rates to 18.5% at the last meeting before the suspension. He said he had to do this to rein on inflation, which would have risen to 30.48%, save for the monetary policy intervention. Some economic watchers feel Mr. Emefiele's monetary policy stance as governor helped push down inflation, but some critics say his policy initiatives have not helped in economic growth. There had been calls for the governor's removal when news filtered out that he was interested in contesting for the presidential seat, and this was seen as a violation of provisions of the CBN Act. The calls worsened after he introduced a Naira redesign policy that led to scarcity of Naira notes until the Supreme Court ruling, and subsequent threats by Labour changed that narrative. The president, at his inauguration speech, emphasized the need to clean up the monetary policy space, bring down interest rates to drive investments, and review the Naira redesign policy. The CBN governor's suspension has led to the appointment of Folasholu Sholubi as acting CBN governor to oversee the bank's affairs. Mr. Emefiele's tenure as central bank governor would have expired in 2024 if he had not been suspended. Lara Folayo, TVC News, Abuja.
By the Vice President of Nigerian Irish Business Association, Aliyu Audu, to talk about this. Thank you very much for joining us at this time. Looking at the suspension of the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, what's your take? When you heard the news yesterday, what came to mind? Aliyu Audu, if you can hear me, you're joining us live on TVC News. Give us your own view or your own take on the suspension and subsequent arrest of Godwin Emefiele. Aliyu Audu, can you hear me? Your audio seems to be quite low. Now, looking at the situation now, what has been your own view as regards the suspension of Godwin Emefiele? All right, we'll get back to Audu Aliyu, the Vice President, Nigerian Irish Business Association, once we get him sorted out. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu met with the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria as part of their custom to felicitate with the country's leaders whenever there is a change of leadership. The president informed them of his government's decision to remove fuel subsidies, improve security, create jobs, and sustain the environment, as well as the forthcoming election of principal officers of the 10th National Assembly. He assured them of running an open-door policy, adding that it is the way he will go. The Sultan of Sokoto and the Oni of Ife, who are both co-chair of the Council of Traditional Rulers, assured President Tinubu of their full support and commitment to ensure his administration succeeds.
What's going to bring Nigeria to its nail is the subsidy. A country that cannot pay salary and the same potential. We encourage ourselves. We did the right thing. It's in your hand. As the closest people to the local government, to the grassroots, to persuade our people to have the understanding. This price will be high.